Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fangers of all ages, welcome to UTR Presents Bad Blood. It's me, your boy, Warhawk Tanzania, aka the Vampire Exterminator, here with my boy, Mike Elustat. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, brother? Yeah. Hey man, this show right here, boy, is getting good.
And here's the bullshit. Me and Mongo been telling your ass since last season that this show was good. And look how long it took you to get on the bandwagon, and now your ass is hooked.
Hey man, listen, I told y'all I was eventually gonna watch. Of course, when it comes to me and shows, it takes a while. But once I get invested, I'm invested, goddamn, and thank y'all. Great representation.
We told you. We fucking told you. It's not a game. It's not a game. But since we missed last week's, we're gonna do last week's show plus the week before show plus last week's, because we got a new show coming up this Sunday. Just to do a brief recap of the week before, that one was pretty much mainly about Claudia. Claudia introducing Louis to who she likes. Pretty much introducing her to Madeline, but not introducing him to Madeline. Pretty much letting him know, like, there's somebody I have my interest in, but nothing to where Louis thought he should have a deep concern about. During this process and during this time, you got Santiago out here plotting and scheming against Armand, against Louis, and against Claudia. Now, of course, as I'm talking, some of the previous episode and the episodes will be blurred a little bit because, of course, 2 weeks ago and a week ago sometimes do get blurred, especially when you got a little wacky tobacco in you. But
mm-hmm.
The thing that I find the most interesting about the character Santiago is he's technically the most loyal person to the coven that there is. As much as we hate him, and as much as we feel he's the betrayer and stuff like that, you got to admit he's technically the most loyal person.
Yeah.
Because everything that he's doing and everything that he's trying to convince Armand to do is by the book and by the rules. Because remember, his maker is in one of those catacombs in the goddamn theater at the bottom because he crossed one of the laws.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's willing to accept that his own maker had to be put in there because of the laws, what makes Armand and Louis and them think they're going to be able to get away with the shit they get away with?
Exactly. And with Santiago, like when they first introduced him, and when Louis comes onto the scene, you immediately see the apprehension that Santiago has about him. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing about these vampires. They are extremely aggressive and they are extremely apprehensive. And when they smell the little bit of a stench on you, they are going to keep that. They are going to keep that sense, and they are going to find something to justify why they have that stench on you, why they have that feeling about you.
Exactly. And plus, the thing that people got to remember, Santiago's an old vampire. He's been a vampire for a while. So, the older you get, the different skills you're able to acquire and to be able to do. Like as we see in the next episode, Santiago has pretty much the power to mind talk and pretty much verbatim get somebody to say something word for word, the same way he did with Louis in that restaurant scene, which caused Louis to come over and grab his tongue damn near halfway out his mouth
Mm-hmm.
because he was going word for word verbatim with Louis. So Santiago is an ancient vampire. So like you said, once he found out, once he had that scent on him, like yo, something is off. And then on top of that, the fact that Louis was blatantly breaking one of the laws by not being in the cover and by, Louis was they pretty much blatantly breaking so many laws, not being in the cover, being about running amok amongst the humans. You know what I mean? Like everything that they're not supposed to do, Louis is actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
So just off of GP, he's like, nah, I don't like this dude.
And then Louis tells them, "Oh yeah, me and Claudia, we're from Chicago." But Santiago's picking up on the accent. He's literally breaking down the accent. Like, oh, Chicago. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds more of a southern accent. Oh,
Like say New Orleans for me
yeah,
one time.
yeah.
Like
It's in New Orleans one time.
so now getting back to this relationship with Claudia and Madeline, right? It's a sense of companionship slash jealousy and envy. And the reason why I'm saying that is companionship because Claudia has come to the realization, she wants someone of her own. Louis had two people of his own so far. The Stat and Armand. Now, the sense Claudia wants that companionship, someone of her own. But also it's a sense of jealousy as Claudia can admire this grown woman's body because she will never have one of her own herself. No, Claudia's forever stuck being 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship there is, in my eyes, part companionship, part jealousy.
And I'll add a third element to that. Both Claudia and Madeline are loners. Like they are both loners. Like think about what Madeline has to go through. She had the damn swastika painted on her damn on the window of her storefront.
Like constantly.
Constantly.
Like it's become part of the ritual of her washing off her front window in the swastika.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
want to jump back for a second, too, real quick. Louise also, when it come in terms of Claudia and Santiago's distrust. Remember, Claudia is too young to be made a vampire, so that's another reason why Santiago is apprehensive about anything and everything that's coming out of Louis and Claudia's mouths.
mm-hmm.
She's too young to be a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another law that he's breaking. And Louis constantly breaks these laws. And Claudia constantly breaks these laws. And she's breaking the law also by her interacting with a human. Like at the end of the day, we all talk about we hate Santiago, but at the end of the day, Santiago is the most loyal person out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to your point about all the laws they're breaking, he's being justified. Everything that they're doing is justifying his actions, is justifying his words. So it's not like, oh, he's blatantly accusing them of the things. No, they're out in the open with their shit.
Right. They doing fucked up shit. They doing fucked up shit. Like, you can't be mad at him, bro. That's like, hey, yo, come on, bro. Like, you had us living like by these laws for like 400 something years, bro. And now you just gonna let this nigga do whatever? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
live for this. Like I die for this, and you just gonna let him just do whatever? Like you know what? I'm Team Santiago. Fuck
Mm-hmm.
it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm Team
Mm-hmm.
Santiago. Now that I done looked at it from his point of view, you know what? My man is loyal, yo. I can't hate on a motherfucker that's loyal, bro. I can't hate. I really can't, yo. Team Santiago. Fuck it. Let's get
Yeah,
it.
like, hey, is he evil? Yes. But the thing about this show, they're all evil.
Right.
Like they are all evil. Like Armand is evil.
Armand, speaking of evil as Armand, we find out Armand has been erasing parts of Louis and Daniel's memory. The,
Mm-hmm.
the part, as we all know, Daniel and Louis had an interaction with each other back in the 70s, 1973. And it appears that as they're both going forward and unlocking more and more memories, the interaction with the two of them seems to be a cut paste replica of each other and then parts missing out. Come to find out, Armand did save Daniel because Louis had lost control, but Armand had also become jealous of the fact that Louis had such an interest in him and kept Daniel's ass hostage for like three to 5 days, just fucking him up for like 3 to 5 days.
That's,
And Armand wind up erasing their memory because Louis asked him to. So as they're both being mad at Armand, Armand pretty much blatantly comes out and say, "Oh, okay, Louis. So you mad at me for you telling me to erase your memory when you acting like a fucking total monster?
mm-hmm.
Fine, be mad at me." Daniel said, "Well, what's your excuse with me?" Daniel got a fucking point.
Yeah.
Daniel got a fucking point. Like, and another twist and turn that we find out in the beginning of this show, me and Mongo were all for Team Real Rashid. We were like, my man Real Rashid was out here doing his thing, making sure people weren't getting hurt and stuff like that. Put himself on the line. We were like, don't disrespect Real Rashid. Now, I just said I respect Santiago for his loyalty. That was why I respected Real Rashid, because of his loyalty. We find out Real Rashid is working with the people that's hacked Daniel's laptop.
He's working with the Telemaska. Infiltrator.
So all in one show, I have gone from Team Rashid, Team Real Rashid, to Team Santiago.
What a 180. That's
What a fucking WWE switch this was, folks. Can't believe it. Here I am all alone thinking Santiago was a monster, but nope. It was Real Rashid. This motherfucker here. We find out Real Rashid has been the one who helped them bug the people, the government pretty much bugged Daniel's laptop.
mm-hmm.
Armand has an idea that Real Rashid is in on this, and he keeps trying to like get questions and answers out of Real Rashid, and Daniel is cutting him off at the pass, like nah. He never left my side.
Also, them goddamn tapes. Now we know how these goddamn tapes got in his damn mailbox.
Mm-hmm. Went from Team fucking Real Rashid to Team Santiago in a matter of 15 minutes of the show starting for goddamn. See what happens when you talk and you realize the truth?
Yep. Yep.
We always think it's the other person that's the villain, but god damn it, we was wrong.
We was wrong. And you know what though? I always took a liking to Santiago's character. Even though I knew, oh yeah, this dude is fucked up. But how clever he is, and how much of an asshole he is. I'm like, oh yeah, I like this dude. I like this character. A great show always has a great villain that you can, well, so we thought, but a great villain that you can get behind, right? You can support.
Santiago also reminds me of a American version of the stat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he reminds me of, an American older version of the stat. Like, even though they're over in Europe, I feel like Santiago is actually more Americanized than what the stat was. Because remember, the stat still held on to a lot of the old European Paris lifestyle. You know, even his name, the stat.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about that, folks. You hear in the background. Even Naya is agreeing that the stat ass is European.
First of all, shout out to our mascot, Queen Naya. I'm not
Making
talking
mad
about
noise.
our WWE mascot. I'm talking about our four-legged mascot in the background.
Right. Making mad noise for no reason. Being a security guard, barking at people walking by the door. It's fucking security. Mind you, she's as fluffy and as scared as anything. But she gonna be security when somebody walk by this door. That's for damn sure.
And
unbelievable.
So episode 5 mainly is centered around that night in San Francisco, pretty much. Because in the episodes prior to that, you start to see every now and then you see clips of Armand basically guilt tripping Daniel,
right,
about the dumb shit that he's done in his life as a young man,
right. And you don't understand why, like what's happening that he's guilt tripping him. Well, you find out Armand has this nigga tied up to a chair, halfway sucked dry. Nigga's been feeding on him for a couple of days, telling this nigga he ain't shit. Like, god damn, Armand.
First of all, he had my man stuck in a literal chair position.
Right.
A literal sit-down position. With no wall to bracing. Can you imagine just sitting in a squatting position for days?
Like I said, take a seat. Wasn't no seat.
So yeah, it just, that whole episode mainly just goes back to their first encounter. You see Louis, he meets a young Daniel Malloy at a bar. Louis takes him back to his house, has a liking to him. They start having this conversation. And the conversation ultimately leads to,
Louis has also filled Daniel up with tons of fucking drugs. I'm talking bricks and bricks of white lines through his veins.
He had a backgammon board filled with coke.
Filled with actually it wasn't just coke. That nigga had a backgammon board filled with coke, dope, pills, acid tabs, weed, whatever your pleasure. Freaky ass Louis had it.
He was the pusher man, as they called it back then.
He's your mama, he's your daddy, he's that nigga in the alley. Literally.
The pusher man.
Literally.
So he's filling them up with all these concoctions of drugs, right? And then the conversation sparks.
During this time, what we find out is a lot of the irrational behavior that Louis has after feeding on Daniel is because of those drugs.
Yeah.
We also find out that Louis tried to off himself.
Yeah. As you know, what is a vampire's kryptonite? Sunlight.
Daniel kept hearing the sound, and due to the tapes, Daniel is able to concur that Louis runs out of the apartment, slams the door, goes up steps, slams door. Daniel says, "Where did you go, Louis?" It was the middle of the day. "Where did you go, Louis?" And Louis trying to block it out, and then finally he cracks him, and we see that Louis walked, instead of throwing himself into the fire, which is something that most vampires, when they go mad, tend to do. Louis threw himself into the sun. And boy, did this nigga look like a burnt McRib. Sheesh.
If he didn't look like an extra from Thriller, I don't know what was. You see,
he can no longer give the term McRib to Rich Swann after that episode.
You remember The Dark Knight when Harvey Dent got fucked up
and half of his shit was roasty toasty? Yeah.
Yep. That was Louis.
Yeah. Motherfucker was screaming, "It burns, it hurts." I bet it fucking does. Your ass over here looking like fried onions going on a burger. I bet it fucking does hurt. I bet it does fucking hurt.
And Armand finds him. And ultimately, like, what are you trying to do? Like, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then,
what is so special about him that makes you want to do this?
Oh, glad you mentioned that. Before all of that, he says, he being Louis, tells Armand the 10 hours that I spent with him were more fun than the decades that I've spent with you.
Talk about shot to the heart. Gunshot means fast forward, rewind. That fucked Armand up. That's when Armand decided he was gonna motherfucking keep Daniel ass for a little food. And that was the breaking point that made Armand decide to, keep Daniel hostage for a while. But Armand was gonna off Daniel, and Louis finally saved him. Burnt to a crisp, but no, he said, "No, not him. There's something about him."
Yeah.
And that's what saved him. Now, let's go into the next episode, the Claudia and Madeline episode. This episode is, first of all, during this episode, I told Mike in the chat, I told Mike and Mongo in the chat, there is a line in this show that, of all the things that we have seen on TV, all the things that we have heard on TV, this is one of the few times that actually made me gasp. This shit made me gasp. And I wish our brother Cookies was here on the show because I'm sure he would appreciate the fact that I gasped at this. Now, like I said, the episode mainly focuses on Claudia and Madeline. Basically, Claudia comes up to Matt. Claudia pretty much approaches Madeline and lets her know she has an interest in her. We find out that Madeline has been through a lot of different things, but the way we find that out doesn't happen until a little bit later on in the episode. One night, while Madeline is in her shop, a group of Germans come by and write swastikas on her glass front window. And she tries to throw the object she was cleaning with at them, and it goes through the window. So now the hoodlums have entered her store. I believe it's 3 men and 1 woman, and the men take Madeline, and they are going to rape her. As she's fighting and struggling, all of a sudden, we see Claudia, and then we don't see anything else. Lights go black. Next thing we know, the men are being flashed and thrown everywhere, getting their necks ripped out. The woman.
First of all, before you get a fucking door, a door decapitates one of them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like that, like as the raping.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
As the raping is about to commence, unfortunately, all of a sudden you just see a door get torpedoed and decapitate one of the motherfuckers.
Like launched. And then you see another motherfucker just like disappear off of her. You don't know what the fuck happened to his ass. His ass is just gone.
And
all
screaming.
Right. Then another motherfucker gets lifted in the air and dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, Madeline, she stops crying and she looks over. The lights come on. Claudia is munching the fuck out of one of these niggas. I'm talking hamburger helper, ketchup drooling out the side, munching on this motherfucker. Just right. She turns around to Madeline. Madeline's looking at her like, oh shit. What the fuck? Right. Madeline wasn't scared, but she gave her the look like, what the shit is this?
Exactly. Claudia, what the hell did I just see? What did I just witness?
Right. Claudia hit her with the, now, I can clean all this up. And we can go on and talk later. But I need you to remain calm. Because if you go screaming, that's not going to be a good look for none of us. But I can clean this up. Basically, Claudia's saying, I can kill these niggas and make it look like nothing happened, and we good. But you got to keep your motherfucking mouth shut.
And said
Madeline looked at her and sat her ass right on the fucking floor, quiet.
She said that in the most calm yet most frightening way. I was frightened. If someone just committed a mass murder, throwing doors at motherfuckers, fucking piercing. She had the chick with fucking scissors pierced through her damn throat as she's hanging, like she's a dartboard. And like you said, chewing the hell out of another motherfucker's throat, chewing his esophagus out of his goddamn throat.
Right, because you hear this shit. You hear. I'm like, damn, that's you. You a messy little kid eater. Like, what the fuck? Like, damn.
And then after that, with her face covered in blood, like you said, hamburger helper, looking like a kid who just ate hella watermelon or shit. Or you know what?
Right.
It's like a little ass baby that has spaghetti all over their goddamn face. That's
exactly
like.
And talking about, I can clean this up.
She
but
looked
I'm gonna
like a
need you to
damn
chill.
toddler with spaghetti on her face, and she says, "Well, I can clean this up." So monotone and soft, like I can clean this up, but if I don't, it won't be bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get in a lot of trouble. And I'm sitting here like,
You better shut the fuck up, Madeline.
man,
That's
you better be.
you
Don't be
better
quiet. Be silent.
like, you you
Don't
better be
even breathe
invisible.
loud.
You better be invisible. Is what the fuck you better be.
Don't even breathe loud. Okay?
Nigga, don't blink. Because your blinking might be too much noise. Like,
Freeze. Freeze. Like, like
yo, she'd have said that shit to me. I'd have said, mm,
I've been like,
exactly.
mm-hmm. And in my
Not
mind,
a word out my mouth, just pointing. Like,
mm-hmm. So she goes ahead.
and she pretty much tells Madeline what the hell she is.
Mm-hmm.
And Madeline isn't scared at all. Madeline is enthralled by it. And due to this, Madeline has decided she wants the gift. And Claudia tells Louis, I want you to make Madeline. Well, no, Claudia tells Louis she wants Madeline to become a vampire. But she does not want her or Louis to do it because she doesn't want Lestat's blood in her. She's too good for Lestat's blood. So
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what she tells him. He's like, but he's an hour. She said, but he's too good. She's too good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So due to this, Louis has to ask Armand, pretty much, we want you to do this. And during this time, Armand is working on a new play. The working on a new play is pretty much to quote unquote keep Santiago and them at bay from whatever's going on with Louis.
Mm-hmm.
If he keeps them occupied, they won't be occupied on Louis. However, Armand had no idea that Santiago was the man, and Santiago could do two things at once. Oh, Batty, you missed something. We've come to the revelations that we don't hate Santiago. Santiago's loyal because he's loyal to the coven, and we actually hate Real Rashid because Real Rashid is fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you missed that. We actually team Santiago over here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Real Rashid is the op.
Right. And Santiago's true to the game, baby. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So as they're practicing, Santiago is listen, you might think of him being trifling, but he is loyal because everything he's doing is because he's sticking to the rules that were given to him for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
He's following the quote unquote guidelines. His maker is dead. And think about this. You gotta think about this. He was one of the people that helped put his maker in there to die because his maker broke the law. That's why his maker is in one of them catacombs. He's loyal to the coven, loyal to the game, the rules that was set in bylaws. He is loyal to that. Whether you like his methods on how he goes about showing it or not is another story. But his actual meaning behind it is loyalty. You know what I mean? So during this time, and Armand himself is actually getting caught up in this play too, because he's trying so hard to keep them occupied with the play and make different changes and stuff like that. He finds himself occupied with this play as well, and Louis is in the process of trying to sell pictures and trying to build the portfolio and stuff like that. Louis also gotten into the point of buying artwork at this point in time from unknown artists who would later become big. But since he has originals of them, he can make more money off of it. So, the particular scene that had me gasping, Louis, of course, asks Armand if he could change Madeline. Of course, he said no at first. And Armand is getting ready to tell him about the play, but Louis is coming in on such a high from getting the new paintings. He says to Armand, "Get naked, get naked, ass in it, get naked, ass in it, in my coffin now." And I said, "Wait, what?" And then Armand says, "But I want to tell you about the play." Louis looks him dead in the face and said, "You can tell me about the play as I fuck you." I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Oh my God." Now, mind you, folks, in this show, they have shown scenes of Louis and Lestat butt naked in the air banging in season one, and that didn't bother me. We have seen fucking Last of Us, the most beautiful love story ever between two individuals who happen to be two men, and that didn't bother me. But Louis telling Armand pretty much face down, ass up, that's the way I want to fuck. That threw me for a fucking loop. I'm sorry. I, that may have been the most. I don't give a fuck if it was a man telling a woman that, a woman telling them, that was the most vulgar shit I have ever heard in my life. That man said, "Good, you got a new play. You got a new play. Yeah, you can read it to me while I'm fucking you." Oh my God.
So Kenny asked, right? Have you seen this week's episode? I said, not yet. I'm going to. He said, "Oh, trust me. There's a scene in this episode that when you hear it, you're gonna immediately say, 'Hey yo.'" He left it at that. So later on that night,
I said, I'm not going to tell you the scene. I'm not going to tell you when you're going to see the scene. Just know there's a scene that's going to have you going, whoa.
So I watch it later on that night. And I'm watching, and the scene that Kenny just mentioned pops up with those exact same words. And I was like, "Way oh!" And then as I had to rewind. I was like, "What the fuck did he just say to Armand?" And I heard him say it again. I grabbed my phone. I went straight to our group chat and said, "Hey yo!" I tagged Kenny. I said, "Yep, I have reached that scene."
Right. Right. And like I said, we have seen some shit on this show from previous episodes. We have watched other TV shows that have had some shit. And
There's your question back. Yes, I think they do.
Nigga, if you think eating ass is risky, nigga, just giving dome gotta be risky.
Oh God. Oh.
That's gotta be a risk in itself.
Oh. Oh.
That's gotta be a risk in itself for more than one reason. For more than one reason. Like, you worried about the teeth. I mean, and then on top of that, don't forget there's a major vein there. You know what I mean? So, like, whatever vampire blood you got is pumping deep, right? So there's a risk of nigga wanting to eat you, literally. Like, there's a lot going on in that scenario, a lot going on. Like, well, like I said, we have seen some shit. We have seen other things. Like, it makes no difference to us. But that particular line, it got me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
That line got me.
yeah, that line. I
Right,
was,
that line got me. I was like, oh my God, this was a lot, right? Mind you, as the show is going on, I'm sitting here with my phone. I'm like, yeah, watching the show, but I'm also like doing other stuff. And that line came up, and I went, what? Oh my God.
Hey,
Mind you, Keisha doesn't watch Interview with the Vampires, right? But for this particular reason, she decided she was going to, watch it with me. So she's watching it. She's watching it. She's getting into it. And that line comes up, and even she goes, at the same time, we both go, oh my God. like we were both like, whoa, wow, that was a lot right there. That was a lot without saying a lot. And hey, like I said, that particular line got me. I was like, oh shit. I have never felt more violated in my life. Like,
and and as you're feeling, as you're feeling violated, Armand reacted as if he couldn't wait for Louis to say that shit.
listen, me and Mongo said it. I think it was about 2 or 3 shows ago that Louis is a freaky ass nigga, and Armand is just there as a toy. Louis, when them niggas was eating them dudes in the fucking house and shit,
Mm-hmm.
Louis pulled Armand into the woods to go get some. This nigga Louis is a beast for real, bro. This nigga Louis is all about. Hey, yo, you gotta remember, Louis been taking booty since he was human. Remember, he had a human boyfriend back in season 1 in his human life. My man Louis been a booty warrior for decades.
He was
My son Big Lou gonna get it, like Betty said.
hey man, he was a pimp. He was pimping hoes and smashing assholes. He was pimping hoes and smashing bros.
My son Louis is no joke. He gonna get his one way or another. You heard him? You dig it?
Louis, he gonna get the bussy regardless. But by all means, he's gonna get the bussy regardless.
Bruh, your man is from the cradle to the grave. He been getting it, my nigga, for real.
We come to get in that bussy. Louis gonna get it.
Mm-hmm. He like jelly on his.
and Armand couldn't wait to oblige. He turned around, was like, oh, well, he started undressing. I laughed my ass off. I said,
right.
You freak. Hence my tagline. These are some freaky ass vampires.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right, baddie.
That's it, man.
Yep.
My man Louis got one agenda. If he see you and he like you, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, boy. That's his agenda. But we find out that then in the process, Armand decides he's going to pretty much give Madeline an interview to decide whether or not he was going to make her. And he's asking her all these questions. And he's like, and we find out that Madeline is genuinely in love with Claudia. Like, genuinely in love with Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
And Armand is contemplating possibly turning her, but ultimately says no. And we find out the reason being is because Armand has never turned anyone.
Yeah. And Daniel says, like, you're a 500-year-old vampire and you've never made anyone.
And Armand pretty much told him he's never had to. All the vampires that he knew and needed around him were already a part of that coven. Remember, Armand inherited that coven, and they stuck by strict laws, especially when it came to making someone. So that coven never made anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So he never had to. So pretty much the outcome was after Louis pretty much dug this man Armand's back out, he pretty much told him, I'm gonna make Madeline then since you won't do it, punk ass bitch.
And you know what? And don't.
That's pretty much what he said.
and, and during that conversation between Armand and Madeline, you start to see how she is. Why you start to see that this woman does not flinch.
Not at all.
Like, mind you, and correct me if I'm jumping over. They may have showed this while she was being made, but just correct me if I'm wrong, brother. They show her. Well, my first question is she a Jew? Is she Jewish?
Yeah, yeah. This is when she what you call it? This is when she was being made because
Yeah.
during the process of being made, as um, Louis is partaking in her blood, he can see her memories. So yes,
Yeah.
she is Jewish. They show her like this is of course the time during like the Holocaust and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like right after like World War II, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So with her being Jewish, there are still very much Nazis out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. But yeah. But we'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, I find it very interesting that Armand has never made anybody.
It like I said, if you never remember, Armand never wanted to be the leader of a coven. That's number one. So why would he make somebody? He doesn't want the responsibility of the people that he already had, let alone the responsibility of someone else. Remember, Armand technically is a punk.
Oh yeah.
Armand technically is a punk. He's strong, or whatever the case may be, but he's a punk.
Well, he's an actor. He puts on an act.
Mm-hmm.
When he's with the coven, when they're rehearsing and doing all this in play form, he puts on an act as he's the master.
Mm-hmm.
That's what matron and French stands for, master. He puts on that act. But to your point, when he's outside of that element, he's soft.
Softer than wet cotton tissue on a rainy day.
He's soft.
So
Extremely soft.
we get we get more into Madeline and exactly who she is. Like you said, we saw her being taken away during wartime. We saw them killing her sister. We saw her taking a picture with her dead parents. Like you saw a lot that happened. And during the time of Louis taking her life, Claudia is guiding her, like being there for her. And Louis sees it now that Claudia actually loves this one, and during the time of her going, Madeline tells Claudia, I want you to drink some. Like, I want you to take some. And that's a bond within itself.
Mm-hmm.
So now Madeline has been made. She is a vampire. The four of them are at dinner. They're talking, they're having a great time, life is grand. And During the time of them talking, Madeline says to Louis, Armand, and Claudia, pretty much at the table, but specifically to Louis, why don't you tell him how much you love him? I can feel it. Throws everybody at the table for a loop because Louis the big pimp. He never shows that he loves him or nothing like that. And Claudia's like, how do you know that? She's like, I can feel him. He was like, of course you can, being that she's I'm her maker. I can feel her and she can feel me. And like, that's enough. You're gonna do. And now they're joking and bragging about it. Like, that's enough. You're gonna make his head. Right? Exactly. Louis hit him with the shit. He know. I ain't gotta say it.
Exactly.
All right. So that nigga face down, ass up, and his ass been face down, ass up. That nigga know I love him. Right. That's not true. That's not true. I say it all the time. I say it all the time. I say it every day. Actually, I say it every day tomorrow. I tell her I love her. Whether she say it back because she's angry at me or not, that's a different story. Whether I did something that caused her to be angry for her not to say it at that moment in time is a different story. But I say it every day. Now they're at the dinner table. They're talking. I'm while at the dinner table. No, I'm sorry. While they're rehearsing the play, Santiago has sent other vampires to quote unquote track down the stop, the beneficiary of their play troupe in the coven to keep the play going. And they're at the bank at this point. And of course the banker hasn't said shit about the money. Of course he's supposed to, keep shit on the quiet. Because Louis and probably threaten his ass or whatever the case may be. So, keep it quiet as long as the shit is being backed up with money, blah 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 blah. So as Santiago's on stage, he starts to mind read and starts to use his power through another vampire that's there to get the accountant to tell him everything.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him pretty much the last time he's heard from Lestat, where's the money coming from, blah, 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 blah. Find out Lestat ain't been in contact with him for a while. So that sent Santiago's flags up because he's like, Santiago knows that Lestat is really their maker. He knows that already. Well, Lestat is Louis' maker.
He's Louis maker and Louis made Claudia.
Claudia. Mm-hmm.
Lestat's blood is in Claudia.
Right. Through Louis.
Yep, through Louis. Yep.
So Santiago finds out the last piece of info that he needs so that way he can properly accuse them of murdering a vampire, which is another thing against the law. Like I said, my man Santiago is just upholding laws.
That's the biggest sin.
Right.
Killing one of your own?
Yeah, you can't murder another vampire, homie. That's something you cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not without the okay from the head of a coven.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be the head of the coven that actually does it. So, with that being said, now fast forward, they're at this dinner. And remember before, we didn't mention it, but early on during the episode, it appeared that Armand had moved out from the cover and moved in permanently with Louis.
Yeah.
And he told Daniel that the coven gave him an ultimatum. Stop being a leader, or blah blah blah. And it appeared that that was the ultimatum, and that Armand not being part of the coven and Santiago taking over would be the ultimatum that they gave him. So he moved in with Louis. Now we figured that was the ultimatum. However, while at this dinner and they're laughing, Armand went to go get drinks. Time freezes and stops. Everybody around them gets still, and Armand is at the door looking out, and we see Santiago and the rest of the coven come in and swoop up and take Louis, Claudia, and Madeline, whipping their ass. We find out later that the ultimatum is pretty much the coven was going to kill Armand, or he helped them get those three.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the episode ends wildly. The episode ends as a new show is being produced. For the first time ever, vampires will be trying vampires. So the crowd thinks this, of course, is all fake because they don't think none of the vampires are fucking real. We see Louis, Claudia, and Madeline on stage. They pull their black hoods off their heads. They are beat the fuck up. Eyes swollen shut, blood everywhere. They was whipping. They must have been whipping their asses. And we see one of the vampires run downstairs and tell, as Santiago was giving his big monologue and telling them, oh, they're on trial for the murder or supposedly murder of one. And we see the young vampire go downstairs and says, Mr. Lestat de Leon Court, it's time for you. And he goes, yes. Lestat is fucking alive. And then the show ends. Woo!
Woo!
Let's
Yes.
put on a show. Oh, he gonna show his ass.
So his whole ass.
Lestat is gonna show his entire ass.
Mm-hmm.
All buckets of it. Entirety of the asses shall be shown by Mr. De Leon Cole. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We about to definitely.
Yeah,
Oh.
we about to tie that. That's all. That's getting tied together.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting tied together. Mm-hmm.
This is about to be something serious here.
Yeah.
Something serious.
Yep. You about to see. You about to see a real, like Kenny said, a real trial
Mm-hmm.
being performed.
And people are gonna think it's a fucking game.
Mm-hmm. No.
Like I said, I'm very interested to see how much more of the show we get, mainly because, like I said, Mike hasn't seen the movie yet, but for a few of us that have seen the movie, this peak moment right here is a peak moment in the movie, of course. But then after that, there is not a lot more unless the show starts to dive and delve into the other Anne Rice books and incorporates it that way. Because Anne Rice wrote a series of books. The person that this show was modeled at, Interview with a Vampire, she wrote a series of books, and Lestat is actually one of those books. So I wonder if they try to incorporate things from that book, the stat, into this season to prolong the show. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm very
Yeah,
interested to see how that plays out.
yeah, because we get a glimpse of Lestat as he's being made, but we don't really see the entirety of his story.
Right. All we know is the stat was made by quote unquote a monster of a human being, as he likes
Hmm.
to say.
That pretty much he was a slave,
Yeah. Treated him like shit.
treated him like shit, and that's all we know as far as his background.
So
So they could tie in his entire story if they decide to prolong the series. And then it's like, oh, because really, he's really the main character of this. From my interpretation, this story centers around him. It centers around him. Yes, we follow Louis and Claudia and Armand, but really this story is centered, wrapped around him because they're all
yeah,
connected to him.
yeah. Armand's been his boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Louis been his boyfriend. He's the beneficiary of the Vampire Coven and theater troupe. Like everything technically surrounds him.
Mm-hmm. So
You know,
yeah,
so
if she wrote a whole book about him, then oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get his origin story.
we need it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. We need it. We
Mm-hmm.
need it. Anything else you want to talk about as far as vampires?
Uh
Well, this week we're pretty much going through with the trial, like that
yeah.
we were talking about.
Yeah,
So
so tomorrow night's episode is the trial.
it's gonna be some shit, some
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Yep. And like Kenny just prefaced, Lestat is gonna show his entire French vampire ass.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? That's how the stat gonna come out. Yeah. Plain and simple,
um
folks.
but
This is only the beginning of your UTR Saturday. As we're ending this show, go get yourself a little something to snack on. Go get yourself a little something to sip on. Go run and take a shower. Because coming up at 1:45, UTR will be presenting House of the Dragon. We're going to talk about dragons this afternoon as well, folks. So go take a break. Go do what you got to do. And come back to us at 1:45, folks. Because, oh, Dragons is back. And we going to be watching. Trust us. All right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun when we talk about dragons.
Oh yeah.
And don't forget, folks, you can always follow us at facebook.com/Under the Ring Pod and twitch.tv/Under the Ring Pod. There, you can also catch us at Linktree/Under the Ring Pod. You'll find all our individual links, the man behind the boards, Greg Bush SK, me, Rock Ribs 44, my brother right here, Mr. Fresh Beard, Mike Jones, the final Maddie, the right answer, street team captain, Bodio Maliente, and special correspondent Justin D. Baxley. Folks, thank you for joining us. We'll be back in a little bit. I don't know, but have a good one, folks. 1:45, folks. Relax. Got yourself a little to stack on the keys to take you out. Yeah. Hey. 1:45, folks. We're gonna talk them dragons.
We'll
See
be
y'all in a
back.
few.